How's it going, guys? We're back. It's Ryan from Perk by Definition. I don't have to introduce you, Ryan, so this is the second part of the video. We touched on fitness modeling last time. If you didn't get to see that, click the link here, and we're going to start. Alright, you're obviously a physique competitor. What do you do for your prep?
Well, I'll tell you what, prep really starts, for me, I usually go about a couple months out.
Okay.
Right now, I'm actually kind of in an off-season or rebalance season, if you call it that. I need to put on some weight. Since I've started competing in physique, I've actually lost 30 pounds, which is quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's taken me years to get that, and thank God for muscle memory because I'm able to eat a lot right now, work out hard, and I'm slowly but surely gaining it back. But when it comes time for a contest prep, I actually work with a coach, Jonathan Johnson. He's a sponsored athlete by MHP, and he's really done a lot of good helping me get ready for shows. But you're pretty much going to just go through and you're going to realign all the food, your protein intake, the carbohydrate intake, fats, water, and everything else. So what exactly are you looking for?
Okay, well, I'm sorry if I met Jonathan. He's a good dude, by the way.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So, I personally, when I diet down, see, I'm competing in 4 to 5 months, March 29th. I'm going to approach that prep as basically IIFYM, if it fits your macros. Now, that's what I'm comfortable doing. It seems logical to me, and it works for me. So basically, I just start off by cutting my calories down a little bit, and I keep the food pretty much the same. Obviously, I'm not going to be eating carbs like on their own because I want to have full meals to ensure that everything's being digested slowly and that I don't get, I just do anything I can to avoid rapid fat storage.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Sure, I think I know what you're getting at now. So what I try to do for the first meal in a contest prep is I actually want to skip out and cut out all carbs. Some different things for different people. So my first meal may be something like a chicken breast, or it's going to be red meat steak with a couple of eggs. I'll do one whole egg and then several whites. And it's going to kind of depend on how much I use. It just depends on, how I look, how I feel. I usually kind of start high in a prep, especially when I'm cutting out carbohydrates,
For sure.
and then I kind of dial it in after that. Cool. So if I'm starting 8 to 12 weeks out, because I walk around actually more lean, I would say, than most people. I do put on a little bit of weight and size and bulk when I'm bulking, but thank God I have great genetics. I've been blessed. And I can just be a bit more lean. So when it comes time for the prep, what I found works for me is I can start a little bit closer and I want to come down a little bit slower, otherwise I lose too much muscle mass.
Okay.
And then obviously the more contests I do throughout the year, I tighten up and it looks a little bit better. And I think that's kind of the same thing for everybody from what I've seen so far. So the first meal is going to pretty much be all protein and vegetables. I'm really high and good on my greens. Every single meal, almost every meal, I want to incorporate some sort of a green because you want to kind of balance out the pH of the body. A lot of the times the food we take in, we get too acidic. When you get too acidic, you start having some gastrointestinal problems and bowel problems, and you actually open up the doors to get sick. And we all know during a contest prep, you're starting to deplete yourself. So you want to make sure you keep these things in check. Second meal, right now I'd be eating, again, some sort of lean protein, or eating, like a red meat, chicken, lean turkey breast, and I'll be doing white rice. Well, I'm going to change all my carbohydrates from a high glycemic to a low glycemic. I almost kind of follow something similar to a paleo style diet. So nothing processed, no sugar, no dairy. Everything's going to be lower in the glycemic index. Sweet potatoes. I do a ton of sweet potatoes during my contest prep. Reason being is because they're still kind of sweet when you cook them right. Add a little bit of cinnamon in, and it really doesn't seem like I'm cheating. It kind of, so it doesn't seem like I'm, dieting. It seems like I'm kind of cheating because the sweet potatoes for me is still kind of sweet, and it makes that it takes the edge off. I have a little bit of a sweet tooth, so going through the whole dieting phase can be kind of tough. But then again, after about 5 or 7 days of eating clean, eating right, it's much easier to eat that way and just kind of say no to everything else. I still will incorporate things like some oatmeal and brown rice. Some people may not think that's necessarily paleo, but it's definitely a good carbohydrate and it's lower on the GI index, the glycemic index, so you're not going to get that high insulin spike. And what you're talking about, the whole storage of fat, there's a whole bunch of science behind that. I don't want to waste your guys' time to get into that right now. I'm just kind of giving the basics, but that's what I'll do throughout the day.
Okay.
Pre and post workout, I am a believer of taking a pre-workout or a protein shake or BCAAs. I think BCAAs are definitely very important pre-workout and post-workout, or maybe even intra-workout. So I will take a little bit more BCAAs, leucine, isoleucine, valine, extra glutamine. I will take carbohydrates and take in some forms of sugar, like a Glycoject is one, or you have Carbonox, just different kind of Vitargo, different kind of carb blends and supplements you can get on any kind of online superstore or food store. They seem to help out, and sometimes they'll even use like a Gatorade. But that's only during or around the times that I'm working out.
All right.
At that point, I want to take in a little bit more carbohydrates, even if it is a little bit of sugar, to get those insulin levels up, because obviously it's going to react with the protein and everything else I'm going to put in my body to get the nutrients to shuttle into my muscles as quick as possible and start that recovery process. So I usually do a protein shake or a lean protein source about 2 hours before a workout, and then again right after I'm done working out I do the same thing, and then another meal following about an hour to an hour and a half after I work out as well. Last meal of the day, usually again I cut out all the carbohydrates before I go to bed, and it's just going to be a lean source of protein, and I may even add in a little bit of healthy fats. Reason being, kind of helps to slow down the absorption of that protein, helps last throughout the night, because we all know when you're sleeping, that's when you actually risk becoming more catabolic and you risk more muscle breakdown. So I try to slow that down naturally without trying to take any kind of a fancy supplement, and that seems to work for me. What I found this year for contest prep, actually using more healthy fats, walnuts, almonds, even avocados, closer to a prep, and even at night and throughout, I got more lean and I stayed more full rather than kind of getting that flat and depleted look.
Okay. So
you got to kind of experiment and see what works for you. But that's what I did this past year. This year, I'm sure T and I, Jonathan, we're going to probably mix a few things up and try something different. But that's worked out pretty well so far.
Would you say that you keep that pretty much constant throughout your entire prep, or do you slowly bring down your carbs as your prep progresses?
The carbohydrates definitely will come down, but rather than going exactly by the written out and say, okay, you have to have exactly 400 carbs today, or 300 carbs, or 150 carbs here, we kind of go more by look and feel. You can kind of tell just in the mirror, your workouts and your pumps, how you're looking.
For sure.
If you start to kind of flatten out and you get that depleted look, you may have to eat a cheat meal. And a cheat meal can be whatever you want. It may have sugar, it may have some dairy, it may have some of the bad fats. But depending on your metabolism, depending on how well conditioned and how your body responds, different things will work.
Okay.
So I may have, I may even have a whole cheat day. I may have, 4 or 5 days where I'm on the diet prep, eating really clean, and then maybe Friday, Jonathan's like, hey, listen, I want you to go to Bob Evans and get some pancakes, then I want you to have a cheeseburger and fries, then I want you to have, a steak with baked potato at night.
Yeah.
Now it sounds kind of crazy,
yeah, it
but
does.
when you get your body, depending on how you are, when you get your body to that just high metabolic state where you're just burning, it's melting off, you have to do different things to keep yourself full.
For sure.
I definitely would not advocate that for everyone.
Yeah.
But like I said, for me, I've always been lean in the past, and it's easy for me to get more lean and cut and lose weight. I have a harder time actually bulking up.
Yeah.
So that's what works for me.
Okay, cool. Cool. Very interesting.
It's different.
Now, the men's physique division is very new, as we talked about earlier before this video. What do you believe that the judges value most, whether it be stage presence, conditioning, symmetry? I know all those factor in, but what do you think that they value most?
What I think what you have with men's physique is all those are going to be important. Your stage presence, your conditioning, and your symmetry. I mean, obviously, if you didn't have good symmetry and you didn't have good conditioning, you probably shouldn't be up there. So what's going to set apart for a lot of people, it may be the stage presence. You have a whole group of guys who, I very much respect are competing against. All these guys took a lot of time to train hard, to look good, to look their best. So how are you going to differentiate and say, who looks better and who doesn't? You will be able to see it through people's conditioning, who just came in better shape and, who is more muscular, has more symmetry. But when you start moving up into those higher levels, you still look for those things, but I think stage presence is also very important. If you and I are standing next to each other, and you and I both look equally the same as far as our conditioning and our symmetry, and we're both in shape and bringing our best, how are they going to pick me or you? Well, it's going to be your stage presence, your smile, how comfortable you are. A lot of guys will get really nervous and it shows. You know, when you walk out on stage, you want to walk out and be as confident as you possibly can and think, you know, yeah, that's right, I know I'm supposed to be here, rather than walking out and kind of going, oh my God, what does the guy three, to the left look like? What does the guy next to me look like? You know, you start freaking out, and it's just, you show it on your face.
Yeah, for
sure. So you got to keep your nerves in check, you got to stay calm, you got to be in control, and that's also going to have a huge impact on the stage presence.
Cool. Okay, what do you do, some people call this peak week? What do you do the week or day of the show usually?
Again, this is going to be different for everybody, and every show I've done, we kind of tweak things. But peak week, typically, you'll hear a lot of people, they do their carb depletion. So 4 or 5, 3 days out, it's 5-6 meals a day, just lean source of protein and vegetables, no carbs. Or maybe they have carbs in the morning, or maybe they have carbs after their workout. Usually carbs are kept at a minimum up until the show. And then a day or two before the show, you're going to go ahead and start to reintroduce your carbohydrate intake. I mean, you're going to bump it up. And the whole idea is you deplete your muscles so they are getting kind of more of that flat and depleted look. But then when you fill them back up with the carbohydrates, it gives them that plump and more of a full look. Plump. So, well, yeah, you get more plump, you get more rounded, you get more full. And that's going to also help with the definition and separation of the muscles you're up on stage. Okay. All these things kind of work together. Certain guys will work out with weights the whole week. Some do cardio, some don't. It really just depends on what you and your trainer have kind of set aside. One thing I want to talk about before you said that if it fits your macros.
Macros, yeah.
So if you use that kind of an approach, not all nutrients are created equal. Meaning, that may work for some people, and that may not. But if you want to get, 70 grams of carbohydrates, and you're going to eat a couple of Pop-Tarts, or you're going to have a bowl of oatmeal, both of those foods are going to have a different effect on the body.
For sure, yeah.
One's going to be more sugar-based, one's not going to have any sugar. One's going to be spike your insulin more, and one's not. But if it fits, sure, they can both fit, but they may have a drastic effect on how you look. So it's something you want to keep in mind.
Yeah. Now, my approach to IIFYM is I don't eat Pop-Tarts. Generally, I eat very, very clean, which clean being natural, like whole foods. I would say a very, very small percentage of what I eat is dirty. So, yeah, there isn't really like a split category between dirty and clean. Like your body isn't going to be like, oh, you ate ice cream, it's a dirty food, it's going to be turned right into fat. Right. But I'm just saying like what people call dirty foods. The other day I had I'm trying to think, it's a ice cream sundae with whey protein sludge. And oh my gosh, it was so delicious. I'll post that in the description. I'll post the ingredients in that, but
sounds good.
Yeah, and it was a perfect meal. It was like 35 grams of protein, 15 grams of carbs, and like 10 grams of fat. Yeah. So you can make it work.
Yeah, the biggest thing, if you're going to be new to physique and you're thinking about competing, by all means, we learn new things about ourselves, about the science, about nutrition, every day. So keep a journal. Write down what you do, when you do it, what you eat, what your micros, macros are, how much water you take in. And you may not think it's that big of a deal. You can kind of just wing it. But as you get closer and as you really try to dial it in and tighten up, and as you get more competitive and you move up in the ranks, this is what your competitors are doing. So, it's really important that you keep a good track record. This way you can go back and say, okay, hey, this is what worked for me, this is what didn't. And you may think you're going to remember something, but, how many times, oh, it's a great idea, I'm going to remember it later. And then, you may not even think back to recall it. Or if you do try to go back and think, wait, what did I eat the first morning for breakfast? Or what was it the other day? Or what did I say I wanted to do? Unfortunately, we're all full of great ideas and think we can remember a lot more than we actually do. But when you go back and you try to retrieve the information and you forgot it, it may be lost.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so this is going to be the last question. What's the most important thing you've learned as a physique competitor, and how do you think it has changed you?
The most important thing I've learned, there could be a lot.
Expand, go for it.
Let's just say, if you're going to compete, you got to keep your mind right. You got to stay focused. You got to stay in the game. Why do you want to compete? What's your leverage? What's your goal? Writing out your goals, keeping them in front of you is actually going to be a big help. There may be a day you wake up, it's raining outside, it's snowing, I'm tired, I drank too much last night, whatever. You shouldn't drink too much last night if you're trying to compete.
Yeah, seriously.
But there's so many different reasons why you may not want to go to the gym, or you may be at the work and you have all your packed food and someone there's eating Subway or eating McDonald's or eating Arby's and it smells so good and you want to have some and just one fry. Well, if you do that and you start to stray off your diet, that one little bit could have almost like a catastrophic effect, where that one fry turns into a whole bag of fries, turns into a whole meal, and you say, okay, well, since I screwed up this one meal, I'm going to go the rest of the day. Then you get mad at yourself. These are all kind of like comical, silly situations, but they do happen. So being mentally and physically prepared to do what you have to do as far as your workouts when you have to work out, take as much fluid in as you have to take in, make sure you eat what you're supposed to eat, and just keep a track record. If it wasn't hard, then it really wouldn't be worth it. And that's just the way you have to approach it. What you do today will have a huge impact on how you're going to look and feel tomorrow. I heard this quote before, what you eat in private, you wear in public. And that's so true. So competitor or not, it's all about, how you feed the body and how you take care of yourself. You may do a whole bunch of things that people don't see, but then again, when you go out into the real world and you showcase yourself, they're going to see how hard you worked, how strict you were, and it's really going to pay off. And come the day of the show, you'll be extremely happy and pleased with yourself if you follow what you were supposed to follow, and you can build on it from there. So it's kind of like a lot of different things wrapped into one, but it's mindset.
All right, cool.
You got to go there in the mind before your body can do it.
Well, that's some great insight. Okay, we're going to touch on nutrition next. You have some great information on dairy and paleo diet, and you have a very different approach to diet that a lot of people don't really have. So check out the next video. Links right here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.